Some drivers are driving HGVs in the UK earning less than £7 an hour. It's all legal. We'll discuss it on the Trucker's Eye. The UK's minimum wage is around £11.44 an hour. Despite that, we have HGV drivers working for around £7 an hour. Now, these drivers are not actually stationed in the UK permanently, but will be working in the UK for around half of their working time. When these drivers are not actually in the UK, they're usually working in other Western European nations, but very seldom are they actually working in their own country where their truck is actually registered and where their wages are getting paid. In today's video, I want to discuss the wages that these companies pay, and I also want your opinions on whether this is actually modern day legal slavery. If you aren't familiar with European transport, then let me explain to you how it works. According to statistics, the top 3 European Union countries that the UK trades with the most are Germany, Holland, and France. With that being the case, you might expect that there would be more German, Dutch, and French trucks on the roads in the UK than any other foreign registered truck. But that's not exactly how it works. In fact, the 3 countries with the most trucks using the UK's roads are Poland, Romania, and Lithuania. The reason for this is that trucks registered in these countries are moving goods from the likes of Germany to the UK and vice versa. Nothing about this practice is actually illegal. In fact, the European Union has regulations in place that transport companies must adhere to. For today, though, I just want to stick with the wages side of things. I'll no doubt address cabotage and that useless mobility package in a future video. 2 of Europe's biggest transport companies are Geteka from Lithuania and Warburg's from Hungary. Geteka has a whopping 8,000 trucks on the road, and Warburg's has just under 3,000. Whilst Hungary doesn't actually make the top 3 list for foreign countries with trucks in the UK, they do have a high proportion of Hungary's trucks that can be seen in the UK. They even once had an operating centre in Ashford a few years ago, despite not even owning a single UK registered truck. So, what will you earn working for Warburg's? Well, 2 years ago, Warburg's posted a Facebook video in which they declared their own wages. It was featured on the trans.info website. On the same day, Warburg's posted again to Facebook saying they had nothing to hide over their wages. And let's be honest, why should they? They do pay absolutely decent wages if you're working in Hungary. However, whilst working in the UK, their drivers are paid €85 a day. That's around £73 a day when you convert it into sterling. If you were to visit Geteka's own website, you'll find all the necessary information on the salary you can expect to earn as a driver. Unlike Warburg's, the salary is only stated as an approximate figure over the month. Do pay attention to that wording though. You have the opportunity to earn up to €2,070 to €2,260 per month after taxes. Now that does sound to me a little ambiguous. What I want to know is what's included in both the Geteka and Warburg salaries. Is it like the UK where we'll be paid for a night out in the truck? It's far more likely to me that these rates will be conclusive of all aspects of their wage. So let us do some simple mathematics. The overall ballpark figure for both of these companies seems to be around the €2,200 mark. That's about £1,900. That equates to £22,800 a year. So let's divide that by the 52 weeks we have in a year, and that will give us their weekly salary. That figure comes out at a shocking £439 per week. Now, this is where conjecture comes in. We don't know how many days this pay is to cover. Most weeks, the drivers will be away from home for the whole 7 days. We will base our workings out on a 5-day working week. For those of you that don't know, it is possible for truck drivers to work either 6 or even 7 days in certain weeks, depending on how their tachograph breaks fall. In the UK, HGV drivers are usually paid an average of about £26 for a night out in the truck. It's usually called night subsistence pay, and that is on top of any hours you are paid to work. For now, we'll just work out the overall salary as being for the hours and hourly rate that these drivers are working for, without actually deducting the night out allowances. Let's assume they do an average week of a UK general haulage trucker. My colleagues and I average about 65 hours a week, so working on the assumption that these drivers are doing the same job, this means the best case scenario, drivers from these two companies are earning £6.75 an hour working in the UK and other Western European countries. So it's already not looking good. So now let's assume that these drivers are being paid nights out money within that wage, just like us UK drivers, except we're going to use a much lower figure because they're not on as much money. So we'll use £10 for each of the 7 days they're away from home. This equates to £70 a week. So let's deduct that £70 a week from the assumed £439 a week salary. That leaves you with a figure of £369 for your hours worked. Our hypothetical workings out give us £6.15 for a 60-hour working week, or £5.67 an hour for a 65 working hour week. Obviously, if you do a 6-day or 7-day working week, the rates just get worse and worse and worse. Working in countries with higher wages than what you are actually earning shouldn't be allowed. You should be earning the country's minimum wage that you are working in. To my mind, this is modern day legalised slavery. It's big business that is the benefactor of all of this. Big business loves profit. They'll do anything to keep those profit margins up, as we all know. And it's the drivers who are being treated unfairly. The same big business people are also bemoaning a European-wide truck driver shortage. You won't believe the answers they have come up with in response to this shortage, but that's next week's video for you. Gateca and Warbras are two of the biggest transport companies, but there are many other companies just like them who have the exact same business model, and it's all perfectly legal. So, how do we know that these trucks and drivers are spending most of their time in the UK? Well, it's simple really. To drive a foreign truck on UK roads, you have to pay a UK HGV levy, the equivalent to our vehicle excise duty, or road tax, as many British people still call it. The rates vary depending on your truck. A standard 40-ton truck with a Euro 6 engine will cost you £9 a day. If you were going to be in the UK driving your foreign registered truck quite often, you'd probably best go for the 30-day levy, as it will give you a big saving, rather than paying each day you were in the UK. Anybody can check how long a truck has paid its UK levy for just by visiting the government's website. As an example, here are two trucks who were collecting loads in the UK on Friday the 2nd of August. As you can see, I did a search of my own to see how many days they had paid for. Both are from Lithuania, and the first one that I checked had paid for a 30-day levy, so obviously he's going to be coming back to the UK quite often. Upon searching for the second truck's levy, it was asking me to pay for one, because it didn't have one in place. Nothing had been paid. So not only are these companies paying their drivers far less than the UK and Western Europe's minimum wages for working solely in these areas, they aren't even paying to use the UK's road network. So guys, it's over to you. Time for you to let me know what you think in the comments section below. Are these drivers being treated unfairly by being paid really low wages to work in Western European countries? Is this just a race to the bottom? Join me next time on The Trucker's Eye.